Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Rose. I hope you are having a great day. So today we are going to make 4 scrunchies. So I have a few that are for fall and a few that are for summer, and I hope you enjoy this one. So I have almost all of the templates below, so you can click the link and print these out and sew along with me. I really hope you like this. Let me know if you have any questions, and please like and subscribe. That really makes my day. Thank you so much, and I hope you like this. Today we are starting off strong with this little rosette scrunchie. I really love how this looks, and the fabric I'm deciding to use is a little stiff and it is a little on the bridal side. So in order to begin this, I just take a cup or anything just to start the ruffle, and I go out the 2 1/4 distance. And then I take my ruler and we're gonna go all the way around. And when we're starting to overlap, this is kind of where you have to like blend and merge the first layer into the second layer, as you can kind of see what I'm doing here. And I'm just going around. So for my ruffle, I went about 5 times, but I ended up with having a lot of leftover like ruffle. So for your rosette, I would suggest maybe 3 times. That should be probably perfect. And this is double layer. The fabric is double layers. So after this, what I'm gonna do is sew everything together. After that's all complete, I'm just cutting everything out. So this is double layer, that's really important. And then what I'm going to do is with the wrong sides or the right sides together, I'm just gonna sew everything together. This will be at the bottom edge. So the top edge is going to be gathered or like turned on the bottom. And then after everything is sewn together, I'm just clipping so that everything, when we're flipping so that the right sides are exposed, everything looks really nice and the edges are really curved. So when you don't do this, when you skip this step, it doesn't look finished properly and it looks like a bit rigid. So then I go through and just iron everything so it's nice and crisp. And at this stage, I'm creating some pleats in our little rosette. So I change the directions. One's going forward, a couple are going backwards, and this is just to kind of enhance like the rosette effect. So after this is complete, I go in, I start using this hot glue gun, although I would highly advise you not to go and follow the step that I did, because what I ended up doing was I just had to also sew all the layers together on top of it. And when I was sewing through the glue, it was like really difficult. So just find yourself a nice thin needle so they can go through all the layers quite easily. And every time you loop and go around one more go, you're just gonna sew everything together and secure everything. This was a really nice part, and you can obviously make your rosette as small as possible and cut the remaining fabric, or you can continue to go and make a really large rosette. So the next step here is we're just going to make the actual scrunchie itself. What I ended up doing, I think this is probably about 4 inches in height, and it's just folded over. And then I'm not exactly sure the length, but you can decide if you want this to be like really ruched or less ruched. And I'm just taking my safety pin and my elastic and creating this cording. So after this is done, all you have to do is kind of just tie the elastic together in a knot, and then also sew. I did it by hand. I always like doing this by hand, but sewing the 2 edges of the scrunchie together. So the circle that we had cut at the end of, or at the center of the rosette, that's really important to keep. That is going to what's going to hide all of that raw edges on the bottom edge of that thing. So what I ended up doing was just going on my sewing machine and creating a large basting stitch around the entire circumference of that circle. And then what you're going to do is you're going to clip all the way to the stitch, and that's what is going to hide all of the raw edges, and you're kind of just going to sandwich everything together. To finish this, I thought the best method would be to kind of work and do half of this and then kind of sandwich the scrunch that we just created in between, so we can obviously remove this if we ever needed to, and we just keep the little white scrunchie separate or make a choker out of this. So I'm here and I'm kind of just inserting this in between, and I'm using the pins and this rosette like kind of like almost like a push pin. At first I tried to like get like a small little piece of the fabric, and then I kind of just dig into it just because I think that's like much easier. And then I just go by hand all the way around with like a little slip stitch just to attach and hide all this raw edges. So I am making sure that I didn't include the seam of the scrunchie like inside of this circular fabric cover. I just thought it was just to keep it as thin as possible and not add too much bulk or weight to this. And this is the final result. I think it turned out so cute. I think this is really cute with like a little bun and then just adding this little bridal touch to it. I really like it. Let me know what you guys think, and if you have any questions about this one, please comment below. Next up, we're making this velvet scrunchie, which is perfect for fall. It's kind of droopy, and I really fell in love with this look. So I had this leftover rust velvet, which I was so in love with, and I knew I needed to do something with this fabric. So this was the perfect little thing for the scraps I have. So for this scrunchie, this is another one that you kind of don't like wrap around your hair tie multiple times. This will just have like, you'll tie your hair back in like this low pony and then add this scrunchie over. So it will just wrap once around your hair, and that's just the final look for this. For this, I am working sort of also with like a curved piece of fabric, which obviously didn't help me very much, but below I will list like the final dimensions I worked with to achieve this overall look. This was so simple. I just ended up folding with the right sides together, sewing at the raw edges, and then inserting this elastic because it was so small. Like, I'm using such a small amount of elastic. I ended up messing it up the first time, so I had to open this slip stitch that I did to close the scrunchie off, and I had to retie and make this elastic smaller. So I'm going to provide some better dimensions below for you guys so you don't make the same mistake. I hope you really love this, and let me know if you have any questions about this one in the comments below. And here's what the final piece looks like. See below for the dimensions. So next up, we're creating this really popular flower scrunchie. This is another one that we're not wrapping around your hair multiple times. It has a really small or short elastic, and it's only going to go around your little pony or your bun one time. What I'm doing here right now is I'm pulling thread. So this is a really interesting and helpful technique in order to pull thread to find a straight grain line. I love to do this. It's so satisfying. All you have to do is snip into your fabric and then find or pull a thread. Most of the times it won't make it directly across your fabric. So all you have to do is cut into where you see that little drag mark from the removed thread, and then when you can't find it anymore, you're just gonna pull and clip until you reach the edge of your fabric. So fortunately for this little scrunchie, I created a template. You can find the link below, and I hope you find this really useful. After you marked your little flower design on your template or on your fabric, you're then going to make sure that you go all the way, follow the curve marks on your sewing machine. So we're going to sew on this line directly. And then you have to make sure that at each point where they kind of meet your next petal, that you leave your needle in the fabric, that you lift up the foot, and that you're pivoting on your sewing machine. So this helps to create a really sharp little indent between your petals, and we're going to clip into that after. So clipping is one of the most important parts in this process. All of your curved edges really need this like clip into, and I'm creating these little triangular ones. I'm pinching the fabric and cutting down all the way to that stitch. So when we are reversing, so the right sides are out, and ironing, all of these edges are nice and smooth and curved, and this is so important. All curved edges need this. So please don't skip this. Make sure you really take the time to cut into your fabric. I'm also reducing all seam allowances down to 1/8 of an inch. So this is the step where you see all of the nice finished work of all of your clipping, and I just made sure to press this really nice. The next step is to add all of your stuffing, so I just make sure to fluff it before putting it into all my petals. I'm now taking my elastic and just putting it through all the way from one side out of the other. So I'm making sure my elastic, I think my finished length is it's under 4 inches, and that's in total including the knot. So I made this really small, and then the last step is just to turn all the raw edges inside and give yourself a little slip stitch, and you are ready to wear this little flower headpiece. After you sew both ends together, you are officially done, and this is what the final piece looks like. So our next scrunchie that we're making is this little heart scrunchie, and this one is also stuffed with some batting, so just keep that batting out if you're making these, fold together. And fortunately also for this one, I do have another template for you below, so follow the link below and you can download your own template. So for the first step, what I'm going to do is with the right sides together, I'm just sewing together this circle. So what I ended up also doing is I turned down the stitch length to about a 2.5. This will help when I'm clipping the seam allowance and cutting down to that seam, and it'll make it much easier when I'm flipping the right sides outside. I just love this step because it also prevents you from having like little frays that pull apart from the seam, and it just holds everything in a little bit better. Our next step is we're going to change that stitch length all the way back to a number 4, or the longest length on your sewing machine, and I just sewed separately the outside ring of the heart. And then what you're going to do is you're going to clip everything, so then when you have the right sides on the outside, these little seam allowances will be turned inside and it's going to be sewn together by hand. Our next step here is we're turning in all of the raw edges and we're just going to slip stitch. So we're just picking up a little piece of fabric from one side and then picking up another piece of fabric from the other side and just making our way all the way around the heart. So I keep my stitches really small, and you can also probably take this off to your sewing machine if you really like to. I just really enjoy hand sewing. Most important step here is we're just going to leave a little bit of room between the stitches so we can actually add stuffing to this. I've also seen this heart that's unstuffed, so it's up to you whether you like to add batting or not. And then also making sure we just weave in our little elastic. Elastic thread length will be about 4 inches, and this is including the seam allowance, so use that and then just tie it off below and then add your batting afterwards. To help add the batting evenly throughout this entire scrunchie, I just use a little pencil or a chopstick, and that helps you to push it through the entire scrunchie. And here's the final look. I hope you will love this one. Let me know if you have any questions or comments below. Please like and subscribe to see more content like this.